Hello guys, and welcome to a new Task Force Admiral video today by me, Vulcan. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at the battle generator. There has been loads of updates for the game since I last put out a video. They're constantly adding new scenarios to the game and extra content here and there, so that's really cool. So you can see that Wake Up Call at Talagi's been added, Too Little Too Early's been added, and it's definitely worth coming back and trying those out as they are quite difficult and really good fun. But today I wanted to focus on the battle generator because it's a really interesting feature that definitely adds a decent amount of replayability to this very cool game. So the way that this works is you set up all of your settings on the left hand side, and then it gives you sort of a briefing based on what you've selected. So for example, if I change the wind from north, which is saying wind is blowing from north, consider its effect on your attack plans when conducting air operations. If I change that to random, it says wind is currently rapidly changing in the direction and it's uncertain where it's going to be coming from. So we'll work that out once we get in. We'll keep it on random for this one because it is kind of more interesting that way. I'm going to keep it in the Coral Sea, nice and open. We've got 2 CVs, so we'll bring ourselves 2 carriers. Friendly air skill, we'll keep it good. Threat axis will be random as well. Let's do that, just so that we have to figure out where they are. We've got 2 enemy carriers that we're going to have to destroy. Enemy air skill, good as well. Midway status, I don't think it matters unless we're actually at midway, so we'll just keep it friendly. Wind is obviously random, and cloud cover we'll keep as clear, just so that we can see what's going on. The game is very, very pretty, and having the skies clear will allow us to see that. It does affect the gameplay, cloud cover, actually quite a lot, because it severely hampers your ability to spot things if there's a lot of clouds. You know, if you're up high, too high, and you're above the cloud cover when you're trying to scout for the enemy, then it will be very difficult to spot them. And therefore you have to kind of adjust the height at which you are searching for the enemy based on the cloud cover. It can also just be a pain to see things. So I'm going to keep it as clear and we can admire the beautiful sights of this game. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in. There's going to be a few things that we want to do as we get set up. I did want to make this sort of like a tutorial today for those of you less familiar with the game. I think this is a game that's definitely worth checking out. It is currently in early access, I believe, still, but it is quite robust in its systems. So first things first, we're going to want to go to the strategic map, and we want to set up contact history, wind, and weather, and we can do that by right-clicking and then just ticking those boxes, and we can see that the wind is sort of coming from the southwest. So that's going to be a little bit awkward if our enemy's to the north, because we're going to have to turn southwest in order to engage them. Then again, you don't always want to be like really close to the enemy. But next thing we want to do is set up a search. But before we do, I'm just going to press spacebar, and you can actually see the composition of our forces. I really like this tool. If you're like clicked close enough to your units, you can press spacebar and you can see all of the aircraft flying around, all of the different carriers and cruisers and destroyers and all that good stuff. That's a good point, actually. I just want to check before we carry on and make the search if my cruisers have seaplanes, because it's kind of important. If they do have seaplanes, I can actually use them to scout for me, but in this case they do not. So these would be the ramps that they launch off of. So they do not have those available, unfortunately. Okay, so we'll head back to the Yorktown and Lexington. So this is the Yorktown, this is the Lexington. A little difficult to see because it's currently 5 in the morning, so the sun hasn't fully come up yet. But once it does, we'll have the beautiful splendor of these units to look at. So let's head back to the attack map, and we'll set up a search. I'm just going to get these windows out of the way, and we're going to click search down here on the bottom right. And then from there, we're going to want to create a new air search. Now, we're quite well equipped on our 2 carriers, it seems. If I go to the aircraft roster here, we can see that we have, we're 100% fully operational. We've got a bunch of Wildcats, Dauntless, and I think we also have, we have some Devastators as well. But a lot of Dauntless, so a lot of dive bombers. The Dauntless is more of a torpedo bomber, but in this case I'm going to use them to scout because we don't really have any other better options really. So we'll go ahead and in this case we've got the Yorktown selected. We're going to select the Devastator. We're not going to have any priority targets. We're not going to ask our aircraft to shadow the target. What you can do if you want to keep an eye on where they are, you can ask them to shadow the target, but it does leave them vulnerable to getting shot down by enemy cap, which is combat air patrol. So I'm going to have the Yorktown search north of us. So we're going to do a 180-degree step. Actually, maybe just less than that. We'll do like 165, something like that, because then we can do the opposite with the other one. Yeah, we'll do it like so. And then we'll do patrol strength. Not sure how many we have. We should have 15 of them. We could send out all 15, but that might jam up the decks when they start coming back. We'll go for a patrol altitude of 15 kilometers because it is clear. If there was a lot of cloud cover, you might want to go a bit lower on that. Yeah, step's going to be 166 degrees. We've got patrol strength of 12, I think would be fine. And then search radius, we can actually increase that search radius quite a lot. And in doing so, we might want to add a couple of aircraft because yeah, maybe we do want that many if we're going to search that wide, because you really do need to figure out where they are before they figure out where we are. That's probably the most important thing. So we're going to do accept on that. And that's going to make them take off at 6:13, which is when the sun comes up. So they'll zoom off and try and find the enemy forces to the north. Now we're going to want to create another new air search with the Lexington. As I mentioned, we're going to want to do the opposite here. So we'll do it something like that. We'll probably increase the step a little bit here. Just make sure that we're covering all of our angles. I will definitely change that to the Dauntless, and we're just going to add quite a lot of these. I guess we want to do 14 again, patrol altitude max, and then search radius as far as possible. Okay. No shadowing, no priority target. We want them back as soon as possible, really. And we'll do accept on that. So what will happen now is you'll see we've set up like this big ring of search around us just to make sure that we can see everything that's going on. And the ships should start to put together the aircraft on deck. So if I just close that window, we can go to the 3D view of the Yorktown, for example, and once it gets closer to 6 o'clock, you can see at the bottom here we have the time bar. Once it gets to 6 o'clock, they'll start moving the aircraft into position and they'll start taking off. So we can speed things up, but before we do that, I am also going to want to set up my strike package. So as soon as we find them, we're going to want to engage them because we don't really want to mess about. It's all about timing. So we'll head back to the strategic map and we're going to click strike. I'm going to set up 2 dive bomber strikes. And since we're at full strength, we have a lot of dive bombers. So 36 on each carrier, I believe. So this is the Yorktown. Yeah, they both have the same. So we can hold shift to just add 5 at a time, and that will just max them out nice and quick. So that's going to select all of our dive bombers. We're going to send them with a small escort just to kind of distract the enemy zeros. We'll go with 4. That way we'll have 20 fighters to defend the Yorktown. I guess since we have both of these, maybe we want more. Although since they have 2 carriers, yeah, I like to play more defensively with my fighters, generally speaking. So we'll keep it at a 4 escort just to annoy the enemy zeros that may be out and about. Then we're going to pick a target when it actually heads off. We'll do early spotting, which allows us to green light this early. And then we'll do deferred departure and offensive power, which means that they bring as many bombs as they can carry. So desired takeoff for these, we're probably going to make like 6:45. It's going to take a little while for us to actually take off and then find the enemy fleet. And I don't want all of these aircraft on deck whilst we're still taking off with the search. So we're going to do 6:45. I think that should be fine. And we can green light that. Okay. Then we're going to want to do another one with the Lexington. And again, early spotting, deferred departure, offensive power. We will go for a green light on that, although I do need to make sure I change that time so we don't clog up the deck. Wonderful. Those will now be ready, and if we click on the timescale at the bottom here, just set it to 4 hours, you'll notice that we have the search mission, and then they'll start spotting the attack mission. Now, spotting is where they move all of the aircraft onto the deck. That's what that means. And then they'll start to take off, and the mission will be underway once they all get into the air. So deferred departure, basically the way that works is it will take off all of your aircraft. They'll all wait until everybody's taken off, and then they'll all move together, as opposed to the other option where they all sort of start to go as fast as possible individually. So let's just get out of that. And that's basically what we're set up for. Now, there is another thing that we might want to do, which is set up our combat air patrol. Although I'm not going to do it just yet, because we do have the search, which is kind of acting like our early warning system already. So we're going to let the search go out, and then I'll probably try and get some cap out whilst we're maybe waiting for takeoff of the big group of aircraft. So the way you'd set up cap is you go to the fleet board, you go to defensive air operations, and you'll notice we have here the FDO radio link, which is basically like how far the ship can talk to our fighters. So what you're going to want to do is set up like a combat air patrol zone within that. Now, we don't know where the enemy are right now, but usually you'd create a box. Say if they were to the south, then we create a box like so towards the south, because we'd expect aircraft to come from that direction, and our combat air patrol will engage and shoot down any sort of search aircraft or fighters that they come across. So you can set up nice cap zones like this, which is nice. But we won't be doing that just yet, so I'm just going to delete that so we don't clog up the decks. Making sure that you manage your aircraft on the deck as best you can is super important. Now, with everything set up, we are going to want to fast forward. So we can use the buttons at the bottom to pause, play, and also speed up the game. So in this case, we're just going to speed it up to like 120 speed and just zoom through until 6 o'clock, where our aircraft will start to take off. So we can go up to 240 times speed. I think this may vary based on your computer as well though, so do bear that in mind. And now what you'll see happening is as we move towards the search mission, they're going to start spotting the aircraft they need in order to take off on that mission. So they'll move the rest of the aircraft out of the way, and then they're going to turn into the wind, which is just what happened there, and then they'll start taking off as soon as the deck's clear. And my other carrier will also be doing the same thing. So there go all of the engines. I'll be doing the same thing on this one. The speed of the carriers may vary based on which type of carrier it is, because, for example, the Yorktown has the lift at the front here, which actually makes it quite efficient, whereas the Lexington can take a little bit longer. So here goes the first of our planes. We can actually click on that if we want. You can double click on things to center the camera around them. Really cool. And you can just press the numpad to change the point of view. So in this case, num 0 just allows me to free cam, and then WASD allows you to move around, and I'm just holding right click to shift the camera. I really like listening to all of the engines. Like, watching takeoff is actually very therapeutic. It's really cool to just watch the carrier as it continues to commence our operations. So with these search aircraft, what's happening is they'll take off and they'll just immediately start flying in the direction that they've been told to go. And what you can do if you want to see their progress is you can head back to the main map. You can go to the order of battle here, click on air, and then click on search. And it will show you where they're going to go. So in this case, we can see that this one's taken off, so that'll be heading out. And since my carrier is going to end up here on this waypoint, they're going to fly back to that waypoint. So they're going to basically figure out where the carrier is going to be at what time, and they'll fly back to the carrier there. And if I just speed things up, you'll notice that there'll be little circles that start to show up on the map. So those are all our set aircraft going out and about. This is a bit of an extreme search. Like, in most situations, you would know roughly where your enemy is going to be. So you wouldn't have to put out so many aircraft to search. You would search in a direction with probably like 5 or 6 aircraft in order to find the enemy targets. But you can see here these little circles. So that's an estimated position of your aircraft as they continue to fan out. And we will lose radio contact with these eventually, and you'll see they'll start to disappear as I speed things up. And we can just watch their predicted location carry on. And if they spot anything, we'll get radio contact about their position. We can click the other search to see the other side of things. So that's our 2 searches that are going to be fanning out and trying to find the enemy, which hopefully we'll do in good time. As you can see, our spotting for the main attack has been commencing this entire time as I've been speeding it up. So we're getting a lot of aircraft on deck. Now, I don't expect that we'll be attacked very quickly, so I'm not too worried about having this many aircraft on deck at the moment. But if it sort of takes time for me to find them and they find me first, then it could get a bit butt clenching, to say the least, because their strike package may already be on the way as soon as they spot where we are, and therefore we do not want to have all of these aircraft on the deck full of bombs, as that would cause a lot of damage should these aircraft carriers get hit. So we'll just speed it up again, and hopefully we'll come across the enemy sometime shortly. If I go back again to the air order of battle, we'll see how far out we're getting. I'm just keeping this maxed out on timescale, and you'll notice that even though I set my attack to 6:45, it hasn't taken off yet. So again, if I go to the strike, we will see that my strike, well, I guess I can just click down here. It's set to 6:45, but we don't have a target yet because I didn't pick a target because I didn't want them to just like take off and go to a random position. So we will pick a target as soon as we see the enemy, and then I can click takeoff and they will just zoom off the deck as quickly as possible. So again, we'll speed things up as the aircraft fan out. You'll notice that sometimes you can't go beyond a certain time scale because there's just too much going on. All right, so we now see an enemy contact out here, most likely going to be the enemy. So let's go ahead and set up our strikes. So I'll click strike. Sorry, we don't need to click strike. We can just click on the timeline, and that will select our strike. This is the Yorktown's timeline. If we select the Lexington timeline, we can see their one as well. We're going to select the Yorktowns, and then we will pick the target. That will be our target. Now we can click take off, and they'll all start to take off. Now we do need to go into the wind, so you'll notice like the wind is still coming in from sort of like east, southeast. So we're going to have to turn in that direction, and then all of our air will start taking off, which is nice. I should probably do the Lexington at the same time. They're going to be like us, where both of their carriers are in the same group. So we shall pick the target with this one as well. and they can take off too. That way we don't have to move the entire carrier group into the direction of the wind twice over, which would be a little bit of a pain, right? I don't think in the battle generator there is like random task forces, like, because in theory, if you were fanning out like this in reality, you may bump into like a little convoy or something like that. That's not necessarily a carrier group, and we actually haven't spotted a carrier yet. We've only got like 2 small, 2 large, so we don't know entirely what they are at the moment. We're going to have to try and figure that out as we get closer. And this aircraft here is going to basically be getting... Well, we can kind of try and figure out which aircraft that is, to be honest, and we can have a look at what they can see. So what you can do in this situation, for example, is we have the search here set up, and then these are all the torpedo bombers individually. So that's the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, and so on. So we can come around here, and that should be the right one. And if we go into the 3D view, we should be able to see what they're seeing at some point. We were currently at 5 speed. I think the enemy group was ahead of us. It might just be straight below us. But as we get closer, it will be easier to see. It is the carrier group. It has been confirmed. You can see 2 CVs, 2 CA, 4 DDs. So all of our aircraft are going to be on the way, and we shall be engaging them. I would say shortly, but in real time it's going to take a little while, but we will speed it up. So all the aircraft are now going to be taking off, and it's nice and sunny now, so beautiful graphics. Nice and sunny now, so beautiful graphics. Apologies for the gun video. Looking absolutely gorgeous. We're currently just like a camera set on the side of the carrier. Just watch these take off one by one. Beautiful stuff. Follow it off the deck. We can click these if we want to follow those instead. If I just go to free cam. There we go. So now what's going to happen is basically they're going to set up into their little wings and squadrons. So you can see one over there that's already setting up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to select them from that far. That's quite ambitious. There we go. So you can see the wings setting up. And they're going to wait till everybody's taken off. And then those strike packages are going to move probably pretty soon together to attack the enemy carrier group. This is why I wanted it to be clear skies, because look how gorgeous this is. The aircraft flying over all of these ships, and the group behind starting to get together. We can also look at any of the other ships ourselves as well. We like the destroyers and cruisers and such, and all their big guns. They will start firing away as enemy aircraft come in, so really cool to see. The easiest way to get through these is just by double clicking them in the order of battle if you want to actually look at the individual ships. And ships can engage other ships in this game. I have been asked that question before, and yes, it is possible. So now we know roughly where they are. What I could do is well, actually, we're probably not going to be able to tell the other search to come back, but Once these guys get back to the carriers, we can set up 2 bombing wings with torpedo bombers, so kind of do a follow-up attack if needs be onto this carrier group. Although I think we've kind of caught them with their pants down for the time being. And with any luck, we will hit them before they take off with too many aircraft. I'm going to head back to that search. We should be able to see the enemy fleet. Double check that I'm looking at the right one. This one that we want to check. Now, you might have to be a little bit careful, because enemy Zeros will come up to meet him. Ah yeah, there we go. There's 2 Zeros on his tail there. So they've come up from the carrier group. Ah, there it is. It's right ahead of us. So we can actually go and have a look at these units if we click on them. We can see here the Japanese carrier. And we'll have some of the Japanese ships as well that we can click on. And very cool. We actually see inside the deck there all of their aircraft ready to take off. Here comes the enemy fighters. Sorry, trying to get the double click on for these is a bit awkward sometimes. Because you can follow the Zeros if you manage to click on them properly. I guess I could pause it actually, it's probably easier. And then we can do that, and then unpause it. There we go. So we can watch the Zeros flying around and trying to engage. That rear gunner's doing a good job of keeping them off him for the time being. This will be basically their combat air patrol. And one thing I'm going to want to make sure is happening is as soon as my fleet has taken off with our attack, I'm going to want to set up that cap, because we obviously don't want to get caught out by any retaliation. But we know that they are to the sort of northeast now, so that's nice. I call this the south, it would be west-southwest, sorry, not east-southeast, I think I said earlier. Anyway, so most of our aircraft are up and about. If we go back to the 3D view, we can have a look and see what's actually going on here. There's still quite a few to take off. We'll speed things up. Good luck to my search plane. There goes the escort last. And as you can see in the top right, it says strike package from George. The USS Lexington is airborne and underway. And strike package from King USS Yorktown is airborne and underway. So what we can do before they turn back is go into fleet defense, and we can set up a new combat air patrol zone. So we're just going to have a patrol strength of 2. We'll keep them at actually let's do like patrol strength of 6 maybe. That's like two wings, and they can patrol at 15 kilometers, and we'll just draw that the north east. Okay, and then the Lexington can also put up 6 of its fighters in a similar cap area. And that way we'll have cover ready to go should they send aircraft towards us. And then we can basically scramble if there is actually a big force coming our way. At the moment, this will just be there to hunt scouts and other units heading our direction, because now that we've found them, they know the sort of trajectory that our aircraft had come from. So they'll probably send search aircraft back towards us, and we're going to want to make sure that we shoot those down as quickly as possible. So the strike packages are on the way. If we go and click on, you see the attack here, we can select one of the units of dive bombers. Each of these sections of dive bombers, or each of the dive bomber units, has multiple sections that you can also scroll through as well. And if we go to the 3D view, this is the leader of this attack. And you'll notice there will be other aircraft around us somewhere. We got so close. Might be quite far behind or either ahead, one of the two. But there's basically like 3 big groups like this that are all heading off in that attack. And then you have the other attack. It's also heading up away from our fleet, which is over there. And these are all carrying a 1,000-pound bomb. It might be a 1,000-kilogram bomb. Oh, this is actually a really cool screen that I haven't showed off yet. So on the airport, I did show basically the capacity here. All of your aircraft show up down here. But when you're moving stuff around, the airport kind of shows you how they're doing it, which is really interesting. So in this situation, they're moving the airport rafts into position to take off to act as cap, right? So that will basically be what they're doing. So they're adding 6 of them. There we go, and then they're going to start ticking off. And if we go to these fighters, we'll see them taking off the deck. Beautiful. Really short takeoff that. So far we've done pretty well. We've just got to hope for a successful attack. So we've located or figured out where the wind's going. We've set up our search. We've found the enemy due to that search. We had our aircraft ready to go on our attacks, and we selected our target. We're now going to go and intercept that target. And we've also set up our cap for defense and the ability to sort of see what's going on. So what I could do, if I were aware of enemy aircraft coming towards me, you can in fact select all fighters to flight deck on the air plot, and it will move all of these aircraft onto the deck so that if you need to scramble, it's a lot quicker. And the way that you scramble is you go to fleet defense and you just go to fighter direction and go all carriers scramble fighters. Now, what you might want to do, depending on if you know the composition of the enemy aircraft, you can untick FDO in charge and click focus torpedo bombers, focus dive bombers. And that way, you know, your aircraft might sort of sacrifice themselves to enemy fighters, but they'll focus down the important targets that may damage the fleet. And at the end of the day, the carriers themselves are a bajillion times more important than losing a couple of fighters. So yeah, that's worth noting. Like if you untick this, you can use all of these other options. So engage all targets is basically default. Focus torpedo bombers, focus dive bombers. I would always focus dive bombers before torpedo bombers. Defend the base is like if there's a base nearby. And you can do return to patrol or stay clear. And you can obviously recover the scramble afterwards as well. You can see our groups underway. And if we go again back to the map, see that our searches will be soon reaching the end of their search and starting to head back. Now this aircraft, I wonder if it's still there. Maybe it's been taken down. Let's have a quick look. It does tell you the sort of situation of those units. So if we go to the 3D view, I think they're all okay, it seems. Oh no, he's very much in the drink. He crashed right next to the carrier. That's it's convenient, I guess. So these are the two carriers that they have. I'm not familiar with the Japanese carriers at all, so I couldn't tell you which ones they are. Some pretty cool ships that they have, for sure. Yeah, that torpedo bomber's not coming home. Sad times. Okay, so what we can do again, we can head back to the map and we can actually just fast forward this until our aircraft reach the mark. So they're going to zoom in that position. You can see here, that's our cap flying backwards and forwards, just covering the approach from the enemy task force. They haven't found us yet. I'm not even sure if they sent out a search. They definitely sent up aircraft. Our aircraft on the way, regardless. And as we get closer, they'll basically kind of lock on to the targets as they spot them. And then they'll dive in. Now you can actually set up an attack without a specific target, but every time I've done that, they don't really kind of lock on to a target if they find one, from what I've noticed. So you do have to be a little bit careful with that. I think I only ever made it work like once. But in most cases, you just want to use a search to identify the target and then select the target directly with the strike. Another thing you can do, by the way, on the bottom right here is the scramble button as well, if you need to scramble quickly. So we're getting to the location here. Zooming in nice and quickly. That big old force that we've got heading in that direction. But there they've just kind of figured out what they're doing. That's probably just after the waypoint there that we've gone past, yeah. They're looking to find and engage the enemy fleet now. Okay. Oh, we're being shot at here. So I didn't speed it down fast enough, but he's taking a decent amount of damage. It looks like enemy zero started to engage. But what's happened up here, you'll notice that the formation, they've now gone into dive bomb formation. And they're going to be heading towards the enemy fleet to take them out. So the zeros will be scrambling from both of their carriers to engage us. I head down to that carrier. They'll be bringing up zeros onto the deck, and they will be taking off to engage us, although they don't really have much time. I will say that much. So we are very, very close already. Like that one had to release its bomb early so that it can get home, because it is pretty busted. He'll be getting out of there unless he's still being engaged by zeros. Oh yeah, there is a zero above him. He's just trying to evade at the moment. Oh, look at that force. That's a lot of bombers. Enemy fleets over there. I should definitely make sure I'm pausing. That's when I'm trying to double click on aircraft. So much easier. But again, I say that, the camera's still moving. There we go. Perfect. I wanted to get to an aircraft that's kind of in the rear, because then we'll get to see the other aircraft in front do the dive before this. Lovely. Alright, here we go. Flak's coming up. All of the aircraft are just trying to align based on where these carriers are going, because they're basically looping to make it as hard as possible to hit them. This might actually turn out to be the first one dropping bombs, as it is lined up pretty well with that carrier. Flak is actually relatively light at the moment. Not too much flak coming up. It could also be that they're going to turn and engage the other. This is the part that's always like super tense, is you really don't know how effective this strike's going to be. Speed things up a little bit. That flak getting a bit closer now. Unfortunately, that first dive bomber ended up in the sea. Whoop. Alright, they're turning in for attack now, I think. How are the other ones doing? They haven't turned in yet. Right, here we go. Enemy fighters. Oh. Boy, is he going to pull up? That one looked like it was going straight at the drink. Not quite. Okay, here they go. Oh, look how cool that looks. So awesome. Alright, bombs away. Oh, first! Also, like the second bomb actually hit the mark. That's crazy. Rear gunners blasting away. Another hit. That's what we like. That really hit like the back of the ship there. Pretty hard. So if there was any zeros on deck, they would have got blasted off into the water. I think a lot of them managed to take off. We hit them pretty hard there. Well, the other carriers taking big hits as well. Oh, that one's been hit really hard. Another bomb hits the deck. And another one. Beautiful stuff. Both carriers hit very hard by those engagements. Look at that. Not a good look for the Japanese Navy. More aircraft coming in. Let me just pause it a second. We'll go have a look at these ones as they come in. There's more chances again. If I press spacebar, you can kind of see that's what's going on. It's pretty cool. But yeah, more bombs going in. And another hit. More and more coming down. That carrier is getting absolutely demolished. Beautiful strikes. This is what you get when your aircraft are actually good pilots. If you change the aircraft's sort of experience down, then getting this many bombs on target is pretty unlikely, actually. But that is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 deck fires. That's pretty brutal. And this one, yeah, that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes in its deck. There's another hit back here. Those zeros aren't taking off anytime soon, that's for sure. Big, big hits. That tower is engulfed in flames. So now those aircraft just need to head home as quickly as possible. You can see the big group of them there trying to get out ASAP, leaving in their wake some very, very nice damage. Beautiful stuff. A very successful attack. Now, if there needs to be a follow-up, then we can do that. On the rear gunners trying to have a go at the zero. Let's see if my escort's still alive. Seems like this one's struggling. Oh yeah, he's just been taken out. Sad times. And it looks like his wingman is probably gonna go down as well. But as I mentioned, they are going to distract these zeros quite a lot. And there's 2 zeros here. There was one engaging that other one. These 2 are currently engaging a couple of zeros as well. So they're doing a pretty good job. Didn't lose a lot of his power doing that. Big dive. Like a old fur boy over there. His aircraft going to work. There's a lot of zeros in the sky now, so I'm hoping we don't lose too many of our boys on the way back. But yeah, fantastic damage done regardless. And let's just have a look at these searches. They should be heading home as well. Might get back at the same time as the strike, actually. Bravo. The majority of these guys are going to make it home. No problem. And as they reach the cap area, the Wildcats near the carrier will help them out if there are any Zeros still chasing. There's still an engagement going on back there. These guys are struggling a little bit. The ones at the back, so the stragglers being picked off by the Zeros. Gotta keep flying in formation, get all their guns on target. The hard part's done, and we inflicted significant damage, so they may withdraw. If we speed things up, we'll see how many of our aircraft get back to the main force. We can open up all of these windows and see who's actually been shot down. It doesn't look like we've lost too many at the moment. And again, we don't really know until they get back. There we go, it's updated. So Section 4's gone, Section 2's gone. We actually lost quite a lot of them. A lot of these guys have been taken out, fortunately, in the second attack. Big losses. Looks like I should have sent some more escorts. I was worried about them attacking me first. Yeah, that's all of the search aircraft coming back. Our aircraft coming back. Oh, there we go. Okay, Admiral, we've received report of the enemy fleet disengaging. Do you wish to stay in the flag plot, or should we head for the debriefing and combat assessment? So we shall debrief. And there you go.
Victory in the Coral Sea. American and Allied forces, led by the U.S. Navy aircraft carriers, have inflicted a decisive defeat on the Japanese fleet threatening the Australian outpost of Port Moresby. It is the beginning of the end, all thanks to the courageous seamen and flyers of Task Force 17, led by Admiral Fletcher. Next stop, Rabaul.
So both a strategic and tactical victory. Success. For the first time since Pearl Harbor, the tide has truly turned, and decisively so. With the attack on Port Moresby repelled with heavy losses, the enemy has turned tail and is now questioning the validity of its expansion plans in the South Pacific, as Japanese Navy and Army casualties number in the hundreds, if not thousands. As High Command devises new and creative ways to make the best use of our local superiority, it seems the enemy may be coming back for another round, this time at Midway Island. The morale and experience gained in the Coral Sea will put us in a perfect position to rain calamity on the enemy's parade once and for all. All thanks to you. Good job, Admiral. So we can have a look at the full report. So we did lose 26 of our dive bombers, which is a lot. It looks like all of the escorts got shot down. But we did kill 19 zeros. That's actually quite a lot. And I guess all of these aircraft are because of the enemy ship. Oh, this ship actually went down. The Shukaku was entirely destroyed. And the Shukaku is just damaged. So yeah, actually very successful. We entirely destroyed a carrier. That's really, really good. Alrighty, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that look at the battle generator. It's really, really fun to just mess around with that, especially if you do random. I think random's the most fun way to play that, like random location, random wind, random weather, and you just like add like, I don't know, 3 carriers or something. You can just make massive attacks. It's super fun. But yeah, definitely a game worth checking out, Task Force Admiral, if you haven't already. Thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.